Hello, my name is Fallon. Last name is Gresham. So, SG.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. The agency I interviewed. My name's Alyssa, and the agency I interviewed is Deaf and Hearing Impaired Services, Inc. They abbreviate it DHIS. I contacted the coordinator there, and she had me send the questions through email, and so she answered through that. She was very, very nice and very cooperative. She felt bad because she thought that she'd waited a long time to send me the results, but it really wasn't. And I also, at Deaf Celebration Day, I talked to them there, and they were all really nice, and they all really enjoyed working there, so it was really nice to get to know them. DHIS works with older adults, mostly who are deaf and hard of hearing. They also work with their families. They have been in business for 19 years, and they're part of Dun & Bradstreet, which is part of the Better Business Bureau. The main office is located in Farmington Hills, but they also have 18 different locations in Southeast Michigan. These other locations, they host like social events and educational programs. DHIS is funded through local and state government, corporations, foundations, and different agencies that are focused on aging. So there's a long list of different organizations that help fund them. They offer a lot of different services for deaf and hard of hearing clients. Some for more culturally deaf people are interpreter referral. They do video phone relay, sign language classes, and they just have a lot of information about different things for them. They offer a lot for of the same services for clients who are hard of hearing. But they offer some other things to them as well, like they offer counseling and as well as hearing screenings, so they can get that tested. And a really interesting thing is that they have student internship programs, and they allow student volunteers in their agency. So if you're ever looking to go somewhere, they accept them. DHIS has 72 freelance interpreters. And they have a few staff interpreters, but she didn't really tell me about them very much. So she just kind of made it seem like there weren't very many. So they often contract with hospitals, schools, and other common companies, she said, but they are often getting a lot of different companies asking. And they specifically work with 5 different schools in Southeast Michigan. And those schools usually use, she said, like 1 to 5 of their interpreters. They don't use very many of the interpreters that work for them. She said that the most common type of interpreting that they get is medical interpreting, but they still handle every type of situation for interpreters. She said that usually the typical week looks like just working in the community, doctor's offices, schools, hospitals. Like I said, medical was the biggest one that she said they work with. And they also do work with deafblind and oral clients, because they don't just work with culturally deaf people, they work with people who have lost their hearing as they get older too. She also told me that the interpreters put in a 7-hour-day minimum, even if they're freelance, but she said that depending on what the interpreter wants, they can work from 80 hours a week to 20. Interpreters will ask, or they'll get assignments every day, and they're open 24 hours, so she said that it depends on the interpreter which hours is on average what they'll work. But she said typically that the interpreting assignment will last about 4 hours. Interpreters are assigned different jobs after after the client gives like an approval and they show actually what they're going to be interpreting, and they show that it's actually like a legitimate interpreting job. And if they no longer want the interpreting job, then they need to cancel 24 hours before that assignment is supposed to happen. If they don't, then the vendor will be charged the fee anyways. And an interpreter has to wait 30 minutes after the assignment has started for the consumer to show up, and then they can leave if they don't show up after that. She said that they don't have exactly a set way of deciding who gets a job, that it depends on each situation, that they'll match each situation specifically up with an interpreter, which I thought was interesting because I talked to another agency and they had an exact way of how they decide that, but she said that it depends on each situation. Clients can request specific interpreters if that interpreter is available. So if they already have a job, then they're not going to just stop that job to let them interpret. The agency has a handbook that they call interpreter policy paper, and so they use that when they hire new interpreters. And if there's a complaint about a staff or an interpreter, then they have a complaint policy. And what happens is both the interpreter and the client that's complaining are listened to, so they tell their side of the story, and the agency works with the vendor to come up with a solution, and they decide how that's best to be handled. And the interpreters aren't required to have liability insurance, but it's highly, highly suggested. In order for an interpreter to be hired, they have to have either state, national, or EIPA certification. And they do hire BEI1. The most important qualities, they said, when hiring are dependability, willingness to travel, flexibility, having a good attitude, and then certification, of course. They also have a mentoring program in place for interpreters. And the interpreters get paid every other week, and the pay scale is determined by education and experience, so the more you have of those things, the higher you get paid. And pay can ranges from $17 an hour to $30 an hour, and each job has to have a 2-hour minimum. They don't do portal to portal, but for every hour they give $9 towards gas. Below 50 miles of traveling, and after that they get 51 cents for every mile. And right now she said they don't have any benefits, but she said that they might be getting them sometime, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. And they do pay for background checks and fingerprints. She said that sometimes if you're working for a school, they pay for it, so then they won't pay for it. And the freelance interpreters have to take care of their own taxes. They'll get a sheet at the end of the year with everything, and they take care of it themselves. And the DHIS they do have opportunities for professional development within their organization. Like I said, the different locations, they offer a lot of different educational programs through that. And this was really interesting to me is that every year they have a scholarship that gives out $1,000 to a student who's in an interpreter training program. So I'm pretty sure most of us could apply. So I thought that was very interesting, and they're really nice. So any questions?
Which other agencies did you said that you talked with other agencies? Who were some of those agencies that you talked to?
Well, at Deaf Celebration Day, I talked to Voice, but I also because she was sick one day, I didn't know if she was going to get back to me, so I contacted Sign Language Services too, and I ended up doing an interview over the phone with them too. So, yeah.
The woman that you interviewed, was she easy to contact?
It was easy. I called them first and to kind of decide what the best way would be because they're in Farmington Hills, so I could go there in person. And so at first my name was given and they didn't get back to me. So then I called them back. We kind of played phone tag for a little bit, but after that it wasn't too bad.
Out of the two different agencies that you interviewed, which one appealed to you the most?
I guess it depends. Different things. I felt like doing the interview over the phone was better because I felt like I got more information, so for Sign Language Services, but it was interesting because the email one, she couldn't get a hold of me. It was hard to get a hold of her because she was so busy, which I kind of liked that. And Sign Language Services, I just called her cell phone, and so they kind of seem like they're not the most professional. And when I talked about Better Business Bureau, and she was like, "Oh, that's a joke. Like we used to have that." And so things like that. But there were some things that I thought, okay, I like that better than this agency.